Hello everyone and welcome to English 120. This week we'll be learning about our class. I'll give you the introduction about our class, all the information that you'll also be able to find on our class syllabus. I'll introduce you to the two main areas that you're going to be using in the site, our discussion forums and our journal. And I'll talk to you about how you'll be graded. I'll also introduce active reading, which is how we're going to read throughout the semester. And I'll introduce you to comp class and introduce your first assignment for comp class. The reading is light this week. You're only going to be reading a short essay about Jack London, and the URL for that link for that essay is right here. You're going to participate in an introduction discussion. You're also going to write a journal entry, letter to myself on the last day of class, and you'll also complete your first comp class assignment, orientation, and overview. So this is me. Welcome. It's nice to virtually meet you. My name is Dr. Iris Jamal Dunkel, but you guys can call me Dr. Dunkel. I've taught English for the past 12 years, and I'm a full-time faculty member at Napa Valley College. I have a BA in English from George Washington University, an MFA in poetry from New York University, and I have my PhD in American Literature from Case Western Reserve University. In addition to being a professor here at NVC, I'm also a poet and I'm also a Jack London scholar. So it's really a great pleasure for me to teach this class where we'll be reading so much Jack London. But you can learn more about me and more about all your fellow students in our introduction conversation this week. More details about that very soon. So welcome to English 120. I think you'll enjoy taking this class online. The weekly content for this class will be posted late on Tuesday night, every single Tuesday night. So it goes live at 11:59 p.m. You should plan to log in every Wednesday morning so that you can get started. You will see a video lecture and PDFs of the lecture slides. You want to watch that video first. That should be the first thing that you do every single week. After you watch the lecture, complete the week's assignments in the order that they are posted. You must complete all of the assignments during the week that they are due. If you have questions, the best way to reach me is via email or in person during my office hours. And I'll go over my office hours in a little bit. So about our class, English 120 develops expository, narrative, and argumentative writing based on reading and analysis of essays and of other college-level texts. The course emphasizes critical thinking and reasoned support of ideas and reinforces the connections between reading and writing. Students will also be instructed in a range of research methods and practices, including online research, evaluation, and correct integration of sources, respect for academic ethics, and avoidance of plagiarism. 6,000 to 8,000 words of writing are required. This is a 4-unit course that includes a unit. One of the units for this class is dedicated to research practices offered in an online format. Students can expect to spend an average of at least 10 hours each week on the class. That's all of the class. The online unit is offered through Bedford Comp Class in connection with the textbook The Bedford Researcher. Students will work on a variety of lessons, quizzes, and discussion forums in comp class to remaster research skills. These skills will also be integrated into classroom instruction and applied to a research project, essay, or series of essays. The lab has 13 research lessons, which require 2 hours of work each. You must complete the lab to get credit for the course. So, these are your student learning outcomes and course objectives. So this is what I expect that you'll be able to do at the end of the class in order to receive a passing grade in the class. So please make sure you really understand them. But the basics are you're expected to think, read, and write critically about a variety of ethical, civic, and intercultural issues. You're supposed to write unified, coherent, well-supported, and grammatically correct documents while also demonstrating adequate research skills, including locating, evaluating, integrating, and documenting sources using discipline-appropriate styles such as MLA. Here are the required texts for our class. The specific information about all of these texts are available in the Let's Get Started section of our course, also on our course syllabus, which is available under this week's content and also under course basics. You need to get access to Comp Class, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. You need to have the Portable Jack London edited by Earl Labor. You need to have the Bedford Researcher by Mike Palmquist, and you need to have the Valley of the Moon. And I would prefer that you have this specific edition so that you can know the page numbers that I'm referring to. This is the one that's on sale at our bookstore, and there are usually used copies available. Course requirements. Please expect to log in at least 4 times a week and come prepared for class, just as you would for a face-to-face class. Post regularly in our online discussion forums and respectfully respond to your peers. I'll post a rubric on our course site that clearly states how your participation will be graded in this class. All papers and homework assignments are due by the due date that is posted in Blackboard. Should an unexpected conflict arise, you must get in touch with the instructor as soon as possible. It's a student's responsibility to inform the admissions office if you drop this course. An instructor is mandated to provide a letter grade to students still on the roster past a certain date. If students fail to drop the class appropriately, a grade of F can be assigned. So how are you going to be graded in this class? 40% of your grade will be essays, exams, and related assignments. 30% of your grade will be online research unit, that's Comp Class. And 30% of your grade will be your participation, which is your weekly discussion forums and journals. You must complete all of the essays, sorry, there's no in-class essay in this class. You must complete all essays in this class in order to get credit for this class. So you can't not turn in your writing assignments. So how the assessment breaks down is your participation grade. That you get 10 points for each discussion forum, and that's for a total of 180 points. You get 10 points for every reflection journal for a total of 180 points. You get 100 points for active reading notes, and these will be reviewed in 2 conferences throughout the semester. You get 10 points for a library visit, 10 points for each conference, and you get 10 points for research assignments. These are small assignments that you'll do as part of the weekly content related to the Bedford Researcher. For essays and exams, which is 40% of your grade, you're going to complete your first essay will be a compare and contrast essay that'll happen in week 4, your first draft. Your second draft will be turned in week 6. That's worth 50 points. You'll do a presentation on the world of the Valley of the Moon in week 9. That's worth 100 points. You'll do your research prospectus in week 10. That's worth 100 points. You'll do your annotated bibliography in week 12. That's worth 100 points. Your research essay, the first draft, will be in week 14. The second draft will be in week 16. And the first draft is worth 100 points, second draft is worth 200 points. Your final presentation on your research paper is worth 100 points, and your final exam is worth 200 points, for a total of 1,000 points. Finally, Comp Class, you need to complete all 13 research lessons and quizzes. Your overall grade will be an average of all of your quizzes. You can take the quizzes up to 2 times only, and only your highest score will count. And here's a list of all of the research lessons you need to complete. You will be given certain time periods to complete these lessons, so please make sure you pay attention to weekly content. As I said, Comp Class is worth 30% of your grade. There are a few extra credit opportunities available throughout the semester. The first and easiest one that you can do throughout the semester is you may go on a docent-led tour of Jack London State Historic Park in Glen Ellen anytime during the semester and write a 1 to 2 page paper about the experience for 10 extra credit points. These go towards your participation grade. For information regarding the park, visit this URL here. Plagiarism, it's really important in a writing class that you understand that you are not allowed to plagiarize. Plagiarism involves passing off someone else's work as your own, either by failing to acknowledge others' quotations or ideas, or by having someone else write in any part of your paper. This is not to be confused with responding to suggestions from classmates in writing workshops or instructors in the writing lab. Plagiarism is a serious academic concern and will result in your being flunked from this course. We will review plagiarism as part of the class, but you should be sure to talk to me anytime during the semester if you have further questions. Any paper you turn in for this class will be reviewed by a Turnitin software, and that will bring up a percentage rate of how much of the work is your own material. Anyone who receives a Turnitin score that is more than 30 or 40% will be flagged and will be asked to, I will be speaking with you. So please make sure that you are using your own words when you write your papers. If you are a student in need of accommodations, please make sure that you contact Learning Services in the library and Learning Resource Center, room 1766, and the phone number is here. A learning disability specialist will review your needs and determine appropriate accommodations. If you need accommodations for physical and other types of disabilities, schedule an appointment with DSPS counselor Cheryl Fernandez in the counseling department located on the top floor of the 800 building. All information and documentation is confidential. Please feel encouraged to make an appointment with me privately to discuss your specific learning needs in my class. So, you're going to need to log into and register your comp class. You're required to purchase access to comp class for this course. Comp class is an online learning space that integrates a writing space, animations, tutorials, and a number of other study aids. Full instructions on how to register for comp class are available under this week's content. Please use the following information to ensure you register for the correct comp class section. And here is our course name, Dunkel English 120, Spring 2015, 66230. So as I've mentioned probably 3 times now, you need to log in at least 4 times a week. The number one reason students fail an online course is that they do not have or take the time to complete the assignments by the deadline due to poor time management. So sometimes it's really great for students to kind of schedule this as a class, like maybe pretend like it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class or something. And so every Wednesday morning you log in at 9 o'clock and you know that the lesson will be there and you can watch the lecture, and that gives you time to ask me questions if you have questions. The week begins Wednesdays and ends Tuesdays. Week's assignments are available early Wednesday morning. All work is due by the end of the week by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. If you fail to turn in work for a week, you risk being dropped from the class, especially within the first 2 weeks. Harassment of any kind, implied, written, oral, or physical, toward any member of the class or the instructor will not be tolerated. All right. All English 120 students are required to write a minimum of 6,000 to 8,000 words over the course of the semester. In this class, students will be expected to write a series of essays demonstrating skills in critical thinking, analysis, organization, and development of ideas, and ultimately incorporating research. To receive a passing grade in this course, you must complete all essays. Now, whenever you turn in an essay, it must be word processed in MS Word. That means a .doc or .docx file format. It needs to be double-spaced in an MLA format. You need to upload it, so don't copy and paste it into the assignment page. You need to upload a document, and it's pretty easy to do, but if you have questions, as always, stop by my office hours, or on Blackboard there's a place to ask questions. On the login page, you'll see there's an area for help. Reading assignments and reading journal. Each student is responsible for completing the assigned readings and responses to them by the deadline. Reading assignments serve to deepen understanding of concepts, to develop critical thinking skills, and to provide models for writing. We will be learning the fine art of active reading in this class, and students will be expected to interact with their text, write notes, look up words, ask questions. Each week we will discuss the readings in the discussion forum. In addition, students will post a weekly blog post where he or she answers questions about our reading assignments. So how do you reach me? If you have any questions, please contact me. The best way to reach me is via email, idunkel@napavalley.edu. I'll also be holding office hours every week on Mondays from 11 to 12 and Tuesdays from 1:30 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. or by appointment. Please email me to set up a time to meet. If you are not able to make it to campus, I can also meet with you over the phone during my office hours. How to complete work each week. Just want to review this one more time to make sure everyone understands how to be successful in this class. First, each week start with the lecture. Watch the video and contact me immediately if you have questions. You want to finish your work sequentially in the order that it's listed under this week's content, and don't forget about comp class because it's worth 30% of your grade. Discussion forums are called, our discussion forum for this class is called Our Conversations. Discussion forums are where we as a class discuss important topics. You're required to participate in these discussions in a timely manner, and you will be graded based on your participation. There will be a new discussion forum posted each week, and you must post your own response, plus responses to at least 3 of your classmates' posts before the end of the week. So this is how you'll be graded. In order to receive the full 10 points, you need to participate, you need to post a response of at least 200 words to all topics posted by the instructor for that week and write a substantive reply, at least 150 words, to the message of at least 3 classmates. Your own post will be due every Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Your responses to your peers' posts will be due by the following Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Comments, questions were responsive to the question discussions. Comments or questions significantly enhance the quality of the discussion. Comments or questions provided evidence that the participant had read and considered a substantial number of classmates' postings before responding. Ideas were expressed in a clear, coherent manner. Student used correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And student signed post with his or her name. When student responds to the peer's post, student address peer in the post. 8 points is when you only respond to at least 2 topics. You don't answer all the questions, or you don't respond to all of your classmates. Maybe you didn't really think deeply about your response. And maybe your comments didn't really enhance the discussion that was going on. Maybe it didn't take it further. Maybe your questions didn't provide enough evidence to support them. So if you're talking about a short story by Jack London, you might want to include a quotation, right, from that text in order to support what you're saying. Maybe you didn't use correct grammar. Maybe you didn't address your peer when you said you didn't begin your post by saying, "Dear Joe," and then begin your post and sign your name. You can receive only 5 points and below if you don't really respond to all the questions or you don't respond to your classmates. You respond reasonably, but you don't really give enough information or support anything. And it looks that you didn't really read any of the other discussion posts from your other classmates, and maybe you didn't use correct grammar. So those are some ideas that help you understand the grade that you'll get each week. I will return your discussion posts. I will grade them usually within a week. Maybe the latest it'll be within 2 weeks. And so you'll know right away how you're doing. If you ever have questions about it, please come to my office hours and I'd be happy to tell you about it. So your first discussion forum is an easy one. It's an introduction. And I've already posted my own introduction as a model for you guys within our weekly discussion forum. So when you post yours, I want you to give me your full name and, if appropriate, your nickname or the name you'd like us to address you by in this class. Please make sure you also use that name whenever you sign your name on discussion posts throughout the semester so that we respond with the correct name. Tell us where you're from and any details that you'd like to share about your family. Tell us when you felt like an insider as a reader and when you felt like an outsider as a reader. And to see, if you want an example of this, which I want you to have, please make sure you read my post first. I really want to watch, I really want to encourage you to go and look at that post, read it, and then respond. But if after reading that post you still don't understand what I'm talking about, please make sure you contact me. Also, please include a photograph of yourself, or if you don't feel comfortable posting a photograph of yourself, please post a photograph of something you love and tell us why you've chosen this photograph. In this class, we're also going to be doing something called active reading. When you actively read, you think about the text before you read, and then while you're reading, you also think about the text. For this week, you're going to be reading an essay by Clarice Stas. It's a biography about Jack London. Before you read it, I want you to think about the title of the text. The title is Jack John Griffith London. And I want you to think, what does the title tell you about the text? You know, maybe you can automatically say that the text is about Jack London, but maybe you can also ask, why is John Griffith included as part of that title? What does that have to do, and why is it in brackets, right? That would be a question that I would have. Then I want you to think about who wrote the text. In this case, it's Dr. Clarice Stas. So we know by her title that she's a doctor, right? But we don't really know much about the author. If you don't, you want to Google the author. Look at where this person is from, what's their knowledge. If you Google Clarice, you'll find out that she's Dr. Stas, you'll see that she was a former professor at Sonoma State University, and she's written several books about Jack London, so she is an authority about this topic. Then I want you to think about what genre this text is. So if you look at the different categories, a genre is a type of writing. There's poetry, fiction, drama, and nonfiction. It looks like this is an essay, right? By looking at it, because it has facts in it. It's not. It's nonfiction is something that is factual. Fiction is something that is not true. Poetry has usually line breaks, and it's easier to identify. Drama also has a different format than prose. So by looking carefully at the text, we can see that it's nonfiction. Then I want you to look at when this document was published. In this case, we're looking at a web page, and most reliable sources that are web pages are dated. This one is dated August 19th, 2001. So we do know this content is 14 years old, and that's something to consider because 14 years can be a long time. Things can really change in 14 years. So I want you to consider that. Now, when you are reading, I want you to write all over the text. So before you would read this article, you would write all of this information down at the top of your text. Then while you're reading, I want you to interact with the text. So when you read in this class, you're going to be reading with a pen or a pencil in your hand. I highly encourage you not to rent the books for this class because you will be writing all over them. If you have to rent the books, then you need to buy Post-it notes so that you can write notes inside of your text. I will be checking your text twice throughout the semester, and remember 100 of the points for participation are gained through showing me active reading notes. So please make sure you do this throughout the semester. So while you're reading, I want you to circle any words that you aren't familiar with. Then I want you to look them up. And you'll see that there's a link here to the Oxford English Dictionary. We have free access to this wonderful dictionary at Napa Valley College. Please use the username listed here and also on your active reading checklist that's under this week's content that I really encourage you to print out and keep with you where you will be doing your reading, and look at it while you're reading. So look up words, write the definitions directly in your book. Mark words or passages that make you think about things that you've already read and explain how you think they relate to one another. So maybe after reading this biography, you read a short story by Jack London next week, and the short story reminds you of something you read about in this essay about Jack London. I want you to write that down. What does it remind you of and why? Mark words or passages that bring to mind personal experiences and write these personal experiences down. Maybe something that Dr. Stas says reminds you about Jack London's life, reminds you of your own life, something that happened to you. Write it down. Mark passages that you agree with or disagree with and state why you agree or disagree with the passage. Maybe there's some things she stated that you don't agree with, and you need to write that down. Now, you won't do every single thing on this list every time, but you need to do the majority of things on this list every time. Mark passages that are difficult so that you can come back to them later. Mark passages you really like and note why you like the passages. Mark parts of the text that highlight the main theme of the text and explain how you think these passages do so. If you get lost, take a moment and try to summarize everything that you've read and write it down. As you're reading, this is really, really important, you guys. As you're reading, I want you to ask the author questions. I want you to ask yourself questions. And I want you to ask characters in the text questions when you're reading fiction. Write questions down on your actual text. So each week you're going to be writing a journal entry. You're going to access your journal prompt each week. It'll be under lessons, and there will be an appropriate link to week 1, week 2, right? Please make sure you read the assigned readings before you write your journal entry for the week. So for this week, you're going to want to actively read that essay by Clarice Stas. Your journal entry should be at least 250 words. It needs to answer all of the questions that are asked in the prompt, and it needs to be turned in by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. each week. Your journal is private. That means that only you and I will see your entries. So don't be afraid to use your journal post as a means to think through the text that we're reading, or a way for you to think about your research project. For more information on how to post a journal entry in our online environments, see the Blackboard help information. Each journal entry is worth 10 points. You must turn your journal entries in on time to receive full credit. And remember, this is for a total of 180 points in our class. So for this week's journal, that's a picture there of Jack London. Each week you're going to be given a prompt or questions to read and write about. For this week's journal entry, please actively read the following biographical essay about Jack London. Hopefully you've already done so after watching this lecture. And then write a response that is at least 250 words. In your response, please do the following. Write a letter to yourself on the last day of class. What do you predict you've learned? What do you predict will be the most challenging thing for you? What goals do you have for yourself? What, based on your reading of the biographical essay, do you find interesting about Jack London's life? What questions do you have about Jack London? Your journal entry is due by next Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. You must turn your post in on time to receive full credit. Please make sure you use spell check and you edit your response before you post it. Alright guys, I know that was a long lecture. They won't always be that long, but I really needed to go over our syllabus with you, which will also be posted, remember, under this week's content. Next week, we're going to continue on to talk about how to write an academic essay, and then we're going to actively read 2 short stories and begin talking about research. So it'll be an exciting week. Great to meet you all. Looking forward to working with you throughout this semester. As I've mentioned throughout this lecture, please contact me if you have any questions. I look forward to working with you.